Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Dr. Glenn Vo. I am super excited to have a good friend of mine. If you guys have been involved in like the DSO space, you've seen him. If you've probably seen a lot of his posts when it comes to technology, because I say that he's like the expert in technology. Well, the expert in technology, the expert in systems, he's now has a platform of his own. It is Tanner Applegate. Tanner, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, Glenn? I'm so excited to be here with you.
Well, I'm excited to come on because, first of all, unlike most of the dental industry, I don't get, they don't have like a direct line with you. I'm always talking to you, and I've been watching what you've been working on. This awesome platform that we're going to be talking about, something that honestly, every single dental practice owner, whether you have multiple locations, we have one location, it doesn't matter. You need this particular platform. But before we get into it, Tanner, not everyone knows you like I know you. You're kind of like dentistry's best kept secret, but not anymore, at least not in the Nifty group here. Tanner, talk about how did we rope a guy like you into dentistry? Because there's always an interesting story there.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know what it is, Glenn, but I always like if you were to ask the 6-year-old version of me, like what we're going to be when you grow up, I don't know why, but I always said I was going to be a dentist, right?
Huh.
And it was just kind of something that always happened. And so when I went to undergrad with the intention of going to dental school, I interviewed a bunch of dentists and I said, "Hey, if you could do your undergrad differently, what would you do?" And all of them answered they wish they studied business in undergrad.
Oh,
Right. And that was like 10 different dentists that they all kind of said the same answer. I was kind of shocked by it. So I did that. I studied business in undergrad. I did my pre-dental prereqs. And while I was getting ready and prepping for like the DAT and doing a lot of these like shadowings and stuff, I was learning about the dental industry. And I realized, you know what? I wasn't passionate about the clinical side of dentistry. I really was more interested in like the business structure and like the dental industry itself. And so that's where I kind of jumped in and said, "Hey, you know what? There's a lot of need in the dental, like business owners know how, dental dentists know how to be great dentists, but they don't always know how to be great business owners, right?"
true, true
And
that.
so that's where I kind of jumped in and said, you know what, let's go in and start kind of helping these organizations. And I grew first group practice to about 5 locations,
Oh,
sold a lot of that, partnered with another dentist, and I grew that. And here we are years later. Throughout all my years of running those dental offices and kind of helping them optimize kind of what they were doing, my heart kept gravitating towards technology, man. And you
yeah,
know that we've talked about it over the years. And
yeah.
so I decided, you know what, life's too short. I'm going to jump out and solve problems that I see all over the place from a technology standpoint. And that's where it's the inception of how we got to Unify. So been involved in many different offices, had a lot of experience in M&A and turnovers, optimizing how do we make an office more efficient, et cetera, but at the same time, making sure that we maintain a high degree of quality with our patient care.
Well, again, about the UniFi platform, super excited that it's already been launched. And again, I've kind of had like a behind the scenes kind of like view of you just coming up with the concept, working through, creating beta testing, getting feedback, using all the knowledge you have of working with multiple practices, right? You also have a lot of connections in the group practice space, just taking feedback. And now just looking at what you have right now, it's just mind blowing. So now, I always kind of joke around and say, and I tell you, I was like, man, Unify is kind of like the last pass for dental professionals, right? And again, I'm not doing it justice by saying it's like last pass because at the end of the day, if you want to use LastPass, use LastPass. I mean, it is very helpful. I mean, I use it. I mean, I'm trying to think like, how did I ever get through like life without LastPass? Because I have so many
Right.
different passwords everywhere. But here's the thing. Unlike LastPass in dentistry, we are dealing with information that's kind of important that could get us in trouble, that needs to be secure. Yeah, it's one thing to have your password to Facebook or your login to your email secure, right? That's one thing. But when you're dealing with like patient data and all these different things, but also when you're dealing with a bunch of different team members, that's a big thing. So, Tanner, I mean, it is kind of like LastPass, but not really. Talk to us about Unify. Talk about it, and then then I'm going to twist your arm right now and do a demo as well. But talk about UniFi, talk about the thought process behind it and why it's so important for all of us.
So Glenn, let me step back before we even get to the idea and address kind of the last pass. Like why would you need a dental specific last pass, right? We get that question a lot. And before we jump into that though, let me talk to you a little bit about kind of where we're at as an industry, right?
Yeah.
So let me throw some statistics at you. You tell me, actually, I'm curious to know if you're surprised by this at all. 85% of dental offices right now manage their shared usernames and passwords by a shared spreadsheet.
I agree with that.
Is that surprising at all?
No, I know some people who are not as tech savvy as that. I think they just write on a piece of paper, but that's a step up.
Totally. Right. And so really 85% of dental offices now have this huge exposure from a security perspective of like what you said, PHI, right? You think, oh, an insurance website, that's fine. Like whatever, we'll share those out. We only access it like once a week or whatever. But the insurance website contains all the PHI for those team members.
Wow.
Right. And so now what happens is you get people that are coming in. Security is a major issue of it, right? You look at the dental industry right now, every time you turn around, there's another group getting hacked, et cetera. And this is just another exposure vulnerability point to this is if you have these in spreadsheets, et cetera, that is an issue where you are liable and exposed as a dental office. But the reality is too, if you think about the workflow of it, let's talk through that, right? Glenn, it is the last patient of the day. You're excited because this patient is coming in and potentially needs treatment that you enjoy doing. Let's just say maybe you enjoy doing a lot of implants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You do this exam with the patient, and the patient is one of those that is hard to get in the chair. So you say, hey, looks like you need these implants. If you want, we can go ahead and get them started today. They say, okay, great. But before you do, I need to know what my insurance covers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You send your dental assistant up to the front. You tell the front desk lady's like, yeah, great. We'll go ahead and verify those benefits. She goes on to jump on the website. And even though she had meticulously cleaned up this shared spreadsheet for her whole team, Jane Doe next to her accessed it, changed it, and then forgot to update the spreadsheet. Right. So now she can either call the carrier and probably end up having to wait 20 minutes plus.
Yeah.
Or she has to sit there forever and try and figure out what the magic keywords are in order to reset those passwords, et cetera. And what ends up happening is the dental assistant ends up waiting. You end up waiting. The patient is not going to start until they understand these benefits and they got locked out of that office, right? They can't access that website. And it was all because of the fact that like the sharing of spreadsheets makes it inconvenient for everybody, right? There's no way to make sure that you keep it accurate, et cetera. And so really what we're trying to say is there's three pillars that UniFi really holds on to. First off is that security, right? Make sure that your office is secure. You don't have any issues. The second off is accessibility, right? If I need to go on that insurance website, I need to go there right away. I don't want to go and chase down a password, where it is, et cetera. The third, and really this is the biggest key that we see people getting benefit out of our platform after they sign up for it. They don't recognize it when they sign up, I mean, before they sign up, but it's the simplicity, right? How many different softwares does your team use where they're constantly having to switch between these tools? And I'll tell you, on average, a front office team member uses anywhere between 150 to 180 switches of tools.
Wow.
Right. And so with that, what UniFi does is it says, hey, don't worry about what is the URL. Don't worry about where to access that, any of those things. Like all we do is we say, let's centralize that all into one place for you. And so you just know kind of like you check out and you're just like, okay, I just go to UniFi for that. I just go to UniFi for that. I just go to UniFi for that. And it makes their life so much easier and simpler.
Well, I didn't even think, I was really thinking about when we were talking about UniFi and as I was watching you on this journey, I was really focused on like the security aspect, right? Like again, being able to have your passwords in a secure place, being able to allow and also restrict access too, because believe it or not, guys, I mean, we do face a lot of turnover in our practice. Okay. I don't care what kind of practice you have. You've probably went through, some kind of turnover. And then what do? Oh man, we got to create a new password that Julie doesn't know about. And now I got to remember a new password. So I was thinking about that, but I never thought about from the efficiency standpoint. And that's 100% true, right? Because every second, every minute a patient waits, the less likely they're going to want to do something. they're going to be more like, you know what, I'll just do it next time. And we all know what happens when they say, I'll do it next time, right? You either never see them again or you're going to go through the whole process. But I never thought about it that way. And again, I mean, we'll talk about what the investment is. We'll talk about like how, adoption and how easy it is or hard it is to use Unify in a little bit. But what I'd love to do right now, Tanner, let's take a look under the hood, man.
Yeah,
Can you take us on
of
a
course.
little test drive of Unify right now? There we go. There we go.
Okay,
Well,
so let's zoom
that's
in a
that's a
little bit.
lot. Now, first of all, that's a lot of platforms you got there.
Well, this is just the beginning, right? Like if you scroll
Oh wow.
down, I'm telling you,
Oh
on
geez.
average, a dental office has in just tech alone, just tech stack alone, this is not including the insurance portals or any of these like supply ordering platforms, etc. There are over 50 categories of software that most dental offices have a solution for, right? And then not to mention the other insurance websites, which adds on another 20 to 40, depending on kind of where you are and what your pair mix is, right? And then you throw in mixes like, okay, what about going in and adding recruiting
Yeah.
platforms, right?
Or
How many
Slack
different websites are you using?
talking to remote staff and Slack. I mean,
Totally.
or QuickBooks. I mean, again, there's a lot of things that wow, and we're not even talking about dental. And again, now that I think about it, that's a lot of sites you got to go through. And again, we haven't even talked about the insurance. The insurance, that's like another 20 to 30 right there, depending on how dependent your practice is as far as insurance goes.
Totally. Yep. It is an absolute, and that's what the reality is too, is like I think that's one of the biggest aha moments people get with Unify is that once they start going through their tech stack and they start recognizing all the tools that they use, you may not use these tools every single day, right? It's not like you're using it 30 times a day, but what you're realizing is that I need this tool once a month, and when I need it, I need it. I don't want to have to go in and hunt around for it. Right. So
100%.
let's run through it a little bit. So obviously we've got up here kind of the favorites, right? Every person has an individual login, right? When we go in, we talk to an office, we price things at a per location level. So that way you can have unlimited users. And that's one of our biggest differentiators from a pricing perspective is that we know that dental offices, they need that flexibility to be able to add and remove users as they come and go. And so right now, everybody in Unify kind of logs in on their own because they see and access different apps, right? The one that we're doing here is kind of more of a it's a an admin view, right? You're gonna have access to everything within the office, right? What you do, you come in here, you just click on the tool, it auto launches, it auto fills it for you, and it takes you straight into the back end.
Hmm.
Okay, you don't have to worry about.
So instead of going to every site and then, kind of like how LastPass works sometimes, is you just go to the site and it auto populates the password. So here you actually could just go to this quick list and not even have to go to the site. You just click this and it launches the site for you.
Well, even better, right? Let's say that you're working on this one, you need to switch to a different one. You click on this and you can access it straight from here.
Oh, dude, that is so awesome. That
Right.
is
So
so
you really don't
awesome.
have to worry about switching. I mean, like for power users, which we don't have a ton of power users, but really what it is like I've got a short code down. I can come in and search exactly what I need, and then I launch it from here, and I like didn't even touch my mouse at all in that.
I love
Right.
it.
So
I
that's
love
what we
it.
talk about with efficiency. Not, I know we don't expect everyone, the office manager or whatever, to do that. That's just kind of what we do for our team. But we even, as a non-dental office, I mean, we find this super efficient for us too to help us stay organized as we're switching between tasks. Right. So let's go through a little bit of these. If you have multiple locations, what this allows you to be able to do is tag a location to these different logins. Right. So now if I came in here and said, hey, I want to just see the logins for one location, I can filter by it and it'll show me just those locations logins.
Wow.
Okay. Another thing too that, and that's something that's kind of unique to us. You can't get in other platforms. Other things as well is that there's the ability to share out an app in a share credential setting. Right. So this would be like an insurance login where you want everyone to use the same username and password. But there's also a way that you want to be able to make sure that like if you have an individual credential for an app, that they put in their own credentials, right? You don't always have to share credentials.
Right.
Right. And so let's say, for example, with Dental Intel is one of those where you have everybody has their own login.
Right. Like your hygienist
I
has a login, your
Yep.
assistant has a login, depending on what KPIs they're responsible for. The doctor has like the login. Yeah. So how does that work there?
So when I go into here and I do my share settings, it's individual credentials. So on my screen, I can see my login, But if I share it with you, what is actually going to happen is there going to be a little shield right here that says, hey, you got to enter your credentials because this is individual,
Oh, okay.
right? So now it really allows you to control the tech stack of your team to say, hey, here are all the tools that you need. You'll have to put in your own credentials in here because it's individualized to you, but it allows you as an admin to oversee, hey, here are all the different tools that you will use within your position. So it makes things like onboarding a lot easier because you can just say, hey, day one, I'll add you into here. And now all of a sudden you can hit the ground running with access to all these tools.
Let me ask you this. Again, I alluded to this earlier. Like the biggest advantage that something like Unify provides is that you can provide and you can restrict access, right? Like people, again, you may need someone to get on a particular site, then later on you might not need it. You can just restrict that. But like for let's say, for example, a team member, do they have their own login to Unify and they have their own apps and sites that they have that they can go into? Is that how it works? Like everyone has their own unified login,
Yes.
and then as the practice owner, if someone happens to leave, you can just eliminate their account altogether. How is that how it works? Or walk us through
Yes.
that as like a practice owner, and let's say that you're managing my practices and I'm giving you access. Like how does that dynamic work there?
So let me start with this though first. Our platform is company specific first. What that means by this is anything that enters this platform is owned by the company. So if an
Okay.
office manager or something leaves, it never leaves with them. It stays with the owner of the practice.
Super important there. Super
And that's a
important.
big differentiator from a lot of our competitors where it's like, hey, you can go in and have these individual accounts, but if somebody leaves, it's still their account,
Yeah, you have to go back
right?
and restrict it or change their password or do something. It's a big headache there.
Right. So from here, right, you can come into here within team, everybody gets their own login.
Okay.
Okay. And so when they log in, the number one way that we recommend sharing out apps, you can share out apps individually, but I mean, if you scroll through here, you can see how just ridiculous and time consuming that would be. So what we do is we actually have a group functionality, and a lot of our offices are going in and saying, hey, based off of your role in the organization, here are the grouping of apps that you need and get access to. Right. So a dental assistant may have less, but like a front office team member, when I hire a new front office team member, I add them into Unify and I add them to this group. And if I have multiple locations, I add them to the locations. And then all of a sudden they have immediate access to all those tools that they need. Right. And so that's really like the coolest part too about this is that there are two different types of accounts. Right. If I add you as a group admin, you have explicit access to those usernames and passwords. If I add you as a group user, what that means is you can't actually see those usernames and passwords. So if I click on this button, right now I have username and password privileges because I'm an admin, but that's gone. That's grayed out. They can't access those passwords.
So they
They
can't
can
go in
still
there and
click
change it.
on. They can't go in there and change it. They can go in here and launch it, right? And access it, but they can't change it or see it. So
Oh.
from a security perspective, if they leave your company, you just remove them from Unify and they never actually had access to any of those passwords. You don't have to go in and reset them.
Now, I want to ask you this. And again, this is something that you probably get a lot of questions on, or you probably face yourself. But let's say if I am outsourcing to a third party that's not in my practice that are going to these insurance sites, and like, how does that work? From a legal standpoint, can I give them a account here and they go on there? Is that something that
Totally.
we're able to do? Okay.
Yep.
Because again,
Unlimited
that
users.
again that makes it so much easier because when you work with third party companies, you might work with them for a little bit, you might switch, right? Or things can happen, and it's always a big headache. Okay, now I got to change my password because we don't want them to know.
Right. And a lot of them, to be honest, that's actually a big reason why a lot of people have been signing up for us. We have both the third party insurance companies
Mhm.
as well as the offices signing up for that reason right there is just to be able to share passwords across each other and keep it accurate and up to date with that team.
So
There's nothing worse than getting locked out of your own logins by a third party
oh
company.
god,
That's the
that
worst.
that's the absolute worst. Now for my practice, I have 13 team members, but other practices that have multiple practices. I mean, um what's the maximum amount of users can you get?
Right now, it's on a per location basis, right? And so we
Okay.
say, like, hey, if you've got one location that happens to have 100 employees magically, I don't know how or why you would ever do that. You can have 100 employees under that one location.
Oh,
right?
wow.
But the reality, I mean, but the reality is we do price it per location. So as you add on additional locations, that's where the fee kind of increases. It's not a per user because we wanted to make sure that doctors weren't
And that's good
trying
because
to
I
save a
assumed that it
penny.
was a per user type of platform. So the fact that it's not, that's really good for us as dental practice owners because look, I mean, as my practice grows, I'm gonna have to hire more team members, right? And again, that's just thinking about that, paying extra for the team, and the fact that it's per location, that is super appealing for someone like me.
Yeah, we don't want to penalize you or make you feel like, hey, maybe I can save a few extra bucks by just having these 5 people share one login, right? If they are all sharing one login, that defeats the whole purpose of the app, right? You're ruining the security aspect of it again.
Right, because then you're sharing again because you're trying to save a couple of bucks here. Okay, now I'm going to address the big elephant in the room here. I'm going to address that right now, and that is, well, I mean, obviously, when I look at something like this, I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't think I need my LastPass account anymore. I think I'm just going to use this here, you know. So again, I mean, this is meant for your practice, right? But as most dental practice owners will tell you, like you'll buy some stuff for your practice, and that you happen to use at home too, right? I mean, again, it is what it is. Could you use this platform? Could it replace LastPass for you?
The number one thing that we have intentionally not done to increase the security for the office is that we do not have a mobile app, right? You do not want your office team to be taking this on the go on their phone and accessing it from who knows
Rightfully so.
where,
Rightfully so.
right? And so we do not have a mobile app. So you can go in and as a business owner, you could go in and kind of retrieve the passwords from the website if you need to while you're on the go, but it's not built for that functionality. And so really, um, yes, you can use it for personal use case. And but I would always say only do that if you intend to own the practice for a while. Right. If you want to sell the practice in the next year or so, don't clutter it with your personal logins because you'll want to share this or keep it with the business owner when they transition.
Well, thanks. I mean, again, that's super helpful there. But again, if you're putting your email on there and other things too, I mean, I'm not saying that you could just eliminate LastPass, but if you don't use the app, I mean, come on, it does pretty much the same thing. So, anyways, I wanted to adjust that there for those who are just thinking, this is the Nifty Thrifty group, right? So they're already probably thinking right now, they're like, oh man, I think I could use this for at home too as well. Okay, so generally. This seems pretty simple, seems pretty straightforward to me. I think if you ever use LastPass, you can do it. But with that being said, I'm not going to assume that it's going to be easy. Generally, for the practices that you've onboarded, Tanner, how long does it take for people to kind of get the hang of things?
That was the number one thing, Gary, you said, I'm not Gary, sorry. Glenn, you said earlier on that you've watched this transition. And
Yeah.
that was one of the things that we played around with a lot during the beta is that we knew that if it was too hard to set up, people wouldn't use it, right? I just did a onboarding actually before this call where the lady was like, yeah, I've literally paid for LastPass for the last 4 months and I'm still not set up for it, right? And we didn't want that to happen for UniFi. So what we do actually, and this will be something that we can chat about kind of on that giveaway, is that we do have what we call a white glove onboarding.
Okay.
Okay. So where we come in and we say, let us help you get all the passwords from your spreadsheets or even extract it from any other tool, whether that's Google Chrome or LastPass, et cetera. And what we can do is we'll go in and clean it up and help it set it up, making it look extremely inviting for your new team whenever they enter this platform that they know day one, okay, great, here are all my tools. And so really
Wow.
all it takes is to say one meeting, one 30-minute meeting to get the information from you. We'll go in and process that on our team in the back end. And then we'll do another 30-minute meeting of guide you through how to do the platform. And then it's off to the races after that.
Wow. I mean, hey, I'll sign me up for that any day. I mean, that's amazing right there. Because again, that's the biggest thing. It's like, oh, how am I going to figure this out and whatnot? But look, I mean, if you guys are going to hold our hand, and at least get us started from there, you'll know how to do it. And you can do it yourself. I love it. I love it. Okay, so look, Tanner. I mean, again, this is pretty straightforward. I can see why anybody, I mean, including my own practice here, just to let you guys know, I've known about this platform for a while, but I have not gone through a demo intentionally because I told Tanner, I was like, I want to see for myself. He was like, dude, you got to look, man. I took a lot of feedback from everyone. And now that I see it, it is like again, like LastPass or dental professionals except more secure and makes more sense for our practices. I'm excited. I can't wait to sign up for myself. But with that being said, there's a bunch of people here in this community, the Nifty Thrifty group, Tanner. So you got to hook us up, man. You got to hook us up. We see the value. I see the value here. This is going to be so super helpful. But what can you do for our community?
Yeah, so let's do this, Gary. I mean, Glenn. God, I keep calling you dude. Glenn, let's do this. So for everybody that watches this and kind of comes from this webinar or even from the group, right? We'll do 1 month for free, right? No risk, no trial.
Okay.
We'll come in, we'll help you onboard for your office, get you set up using it. You give it a month for free. Give it a try. If you like it, great. You can continue with the subscription. If not, no skin off your back, right? But I also want to kind of throw this in, Glenn, as well. And we haven't done this before, so this will be something new and exclusive for your Nifty Thrifty
I love
group.
it. I love it. What is it?
Let's do this. For the first 10 offices that come in through your group, we'll give you 6 months for free.
Dang.
As long as you are willing to come on to the group and give us a fair review to the group of how did it go, right? Whether that is you hated it and it's a waste of everyone's time, great. Go ahead and post that. Like, we'd love that feedback. But if you, in that 6 months, if you come in and you're like, hey, my team loves it, they're using it all the time, that's also what we would want to hear. So the first 10 people that come in, mention the 6 month free trial. Great. We'll go ahead and get you on and onboarded, and only in exchange is that we just want to hear, we want the group to hear too, your honest feedback on how it went.
Dude, that is super awesome. All right, Tanner, that's a super deal. Guys, we're going to put that in the comments section. That's a super deal. And again, okay, look, so we got all the deals out of place, but I should ask, first of all, you guys should take advantage of the deal, but I should ask, what is the retail price for the platform?
So for UniFi, per location is $99 per month, right? Unlimited users, unlimited apps. And it's something like, you're right, at 10 team members, even at 13, whatever you have, Glenn, it's a steal. Right?
Oh yeah, dude, that's a killer price. And here's the thing. I mean, for those who are thinking like, I'm not sure if I can use it or not. Look, man, it's a free trial. Check it out. And then when you see how helpful it is, $99. I mean, again, think about like what you pay right now as far as software goes, platform. I mean, I'm not going to name any names, okay? But it's like 3 times as much, okay? And I promise you, you'll probably, actually, I know you will. You'll use this more than any of your other. In fact, you'll use it every single day. I mean, I think
right now we've monitored the usage. We know how much everyone's utilizing their platforms, et cetera. And we are the second most utilized tool behind your PMS.
There you go.
Hands down.
And for those who have a hard time remembering passwords for a PMS, don't worry, man. These guys got you.
Yeah, we got your back on that one too.
There you go. There you go. Tanner, thank you so much for jumping on. Guys, that's a super nifty deal. Reach out to Tanner. I want to get the links and all the information so you can sign up so you can be that first 10. But even if you don't make the first 10, I don't know. Reach out to Tanner anyways, man. Give him a nice story. He might reconsider. But hey, let's not put yourself in that situation. Sign up right away. And of course, nifty deal. You get the white glove service where literally they walk you through this, holding your hand. You don't have to worry about anything. And then $99. I can pretty much tell you guys, it's definitely worth a lot more, and the price probably will go up. So you better just get on top of that $99 and get grandfathered in there and get hooked up. But Tanner, thank you so much for jumping on, guys. Go check out UniFi, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks, Glenn.